Bachman. We are partners at WP Gears, and we're actually doing something really fun today. We're doing some live recording. So you're getting a behind the scenes look at our podcast recording. And so if you're not familiar, WP the podcast is a daily WordPress podcast that David and I have been doing for a few years now. We ended up taking a break. It was meant to be about a month break, but ended up being a 9-month break. But we are back at it again. And so we, I think it was a few weeks ago, when June 15th is when we started publishing episodes again. And so the way we do it is we record usually about 5 to 7 episodes at a time, sometimes more. And then our podcast editor puts them together, adds the intros, and then they get published out or scheduled out. And so, yeah, you get to see a behind the scenes look as we record some episodes of WP the podcast. So right now we are live on the WP Gears, which is mine and David's collaboration, where we have WP the podcast as well as our Divi Business Expert course. So we're live on Facebook and YouTube for WP Gears. And then we're also live on YouTube and Facebook for Divi Life. And the next time we do this, we're going to do the same thing, except for we're going to go live to David's channels over at Divi Space. So anything you want to say, David?
I think you covered all of it. I just want to say, hey, everybody out on YouTube and Facebook, wherever you're watching us, if you're watching us, I do want to make a couple of quick announcements. During this recording, while we're actually recording episodes, we're not monitoring the live channel. So if you leave a comment or have a question, or you're just saying hi to us and we don't respond, it's not because we don't love you, because we do. It's because we're recording and we're not really monitoring the comments. If you have specific questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask them. We promise to go back and look at them. And we hope you find this entertaining. If nothing else, you're going to get an early sneak peek of WP the podcast, because these episodes actually won't air for at least a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, right, Tim? By the time these come out.
Yeah, it might be a little sooner than that, maybe like 5 to 7 days, somewhere in there. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're farther ahead than we normally are. So I'm way ahead of my time,
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to really quickly say, if you're just now joining us, welcome. David and I are doing some live recording. So you're getting a behind the scenes look as we record episodes for our daily WordPress podcast called WP the podcast. So if you haven't heard of us, go check us out, subscribe to WP the podcast, and then we do short daily episodes. And so you're getting a behind the scenes look as we record about 5 episodes that we have planned for today.
All right. And okay, Tim, do we need to do any prep work for this first topic that we're going to go over?
No, I don't think so. I'll kind of share my thoughts on this because I've thought a lot about this. And then you can kind of give your commentary after that, if that sounds good.
I don't know how much commentary I'm really going to have. I want to just say, I'm just checking that we're live on all the things, Tim, by the way. So.
Okay. Very good.
Boom. Hi, Carlos. All right. Seems like we're live on all the things. So we're working.
There we go. Awesome.
All right. Let me open up my spreadsheet. I'm going to be looking between the camera. I've got a couple of monitors here and stuff that I'm working off of because it's just easier. So before we actually, no, I'm not. I do have some stuff I want to say, Tim. I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to throw it over to you and let you kind of go off, and then I'll close it up and wrap it up. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Hold on. I need to open up my QuickTime so we can record this.
How's my volume? I think my gain was all the way up.
That's fine. Mine's on about 3 o'clock, so I'm not sure how mine is.
Okay. I turned mine back. Can you still hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. Perfect.
Got my settings there. And all right. Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And hitting record. Oh, It's been so long since we've recorded a podcast episode, I forgot. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today, in episode 632, we're going to talk about debunking the Divi shortcode fallacy. You who may have been around the Divi community since the beginning may remember a blog post from our good buddy Chris Lima, who he didn't say too kind of things about Divi at the time. And his main argument of why Divi was, a theme that you wouldn't want to go with was because if you chose Divi, you were stuck with Divi forever. And obviously, it's the number one WordPress theme in the world now and has been for a while. And it's totally not 100% correct or true, but his blog post got a lot of traction and still ranks very highly today. And Tim and I are going to correct some of this myth and we're going to debunk some stuff. So Tim, go.
Yeah. So David's right. There was that article, and it was, I don't know if it still is, but at the time, for a while, for a couple of years, if you search Divi, it was on page 1, like halfway down the page, with the title, "If you use Divi, it better be forever." And so where that's coming from is the fact that Divi, the page builder, is built on shortcodes. And so shortcodes is something that's been in WordPress for a while. And if you've ever installed the plugin that uses shortcodes and then maybe you uninstall the plugin, but you forget to remove the shortcode, you basically see on the front end an empty shortcode, right? You're seeing the actual shortcode with the brackets and stuff rather than what's supposed to be shown in its place. And so because Divi is built on shortcodes, if you uninstall Divi, it's true that you will see all Divi shortcodes and you have to go in and clean them up or whatever. And so that's the argument. And it gets brought up a lot. People will say like, oh yeah, I won't use Divi because of the shortcodes. I don't want to be stuck with Divi and blah, blah, blah. However, while that may be true, it's true that if you uninstall Divi and you don't, change anything, you're going to have all these shortcodes. However, every single page builder works in a similar way. Maybe not with shortcodes, but for example, if you go and you install Elementor and you build a website with Elementor, and then you decide, you know what, I don't want to use Elementor anymore. It's buggy or whatever, and you uninstall Elementor, you're not going to see shortcodes, but what you are going to see is a very broken, garbage-looking website. And so all of the styling and layout from Elementor is there, or I'm sorry, all the styling layout is gone, and all you have is the empty content, and it looks like a website that was built in 1990 before CSS existed. So you don't see shortcodes, but it's still a broken website, and so you still have to start over. And so just like any other theme or page builder, if you stop using Divi, you're going to have to redesign. And that has nothing to do with the fact that Divi uses shortcodes. It's that if you build and design a website built on the controls and styling of a certain theme or page builder, and then you switch to something else, you're going to have to redesign. And so it's a big fallacy that Divi has short codes that will, that's a limitation, basically, is what we're trying to say here. And so I've done these tests myself. I installed Beaver Builder, I installed Elementor, I used one of their default layouts, one of the layouts that they provide, and then I deactivated the page builder. And what I saw was a garbage looking website that needed to be redesigned. And that's what you get when you take a WordPress theme or page builder or whatever, and then you deactivate it. You're going to have to rebuild. And so that's kind of the moral of the story here, that it's no different when you're using Divi or you're using whatever other theme. You're going to have to start over if you decide to switch themes or page builders.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, regardless of, which theme you use in WordPress or, bootstrap your own and custom build your own thing, if you go to a new website and change, you're going to have some work, period. Bottom line. It's not going to ever be click of a button, migration, boom, everything is beautiful and amazing. I don't care what theme. You can have the most simplest theme in the world to the simplest theme in the world. There's going to be some work that's going to have to go into, making it look the best way that it possibly could look. So yeah, I agree with everything Tim said, and I hope we've answered your question and debunked the Divi shortcode myth, because it doesn't matter what theme you got. I don't know if I don't know really why some people chose to jump on that bandwagon, but you know what? It hasn't slowed down Divi from becoming
Right.
extremely popular and millions of people using the theme and stuff. So yeah, don't be afraid.
That's exactly right. And I challenge anybody who's curious to do this test yourself. With Divi and with Beaver Builder and Elementor both have free versions in the plugin repository. Use one of their default layouts and then deactivate it, and you'll see what happens. It looks really crummy. And so it's like, is that any better than shortcodes that are showing empty? Like either way, you're going to have to redesign. So that's cool. It.
Awesome. We've got another great episode tomorrow, and it is going to be how to prevent WordPress comment spam. We get a lot of it, or shall I say, we used to get a lot of it. We're going to tell you about it. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
3, 2, 1.
All right.
Great job, Tim.
Yeah, you too. So if you're just now joining us live, David and I are doing some live recording of our podcast, WP the Podcast. And so we decided to give you a behind the scenes look as we record these episodes. And so these episodes won't actually be published on WP the Podcast until sometime next week, because we record ahead of time and then record in bulk, and then they get scheduled out after they get edited. So you're getting early access to the podcast episodes.
That's right. Dang it. That is right. I am clearing off my desktop as we're going. Tim, are we going to just talk about Ascimet, or do we want to add some other things? How are we going to approach this next?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I wanted to add really quick. That's the main thing, but
okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up some information. I'll go ahead and be kind of the definer, because I think you're going to probably talk most of this episode as well. More of a technical. Oh, wow. Interesting. I'm looking at your notes. I'm also going to open up something because I want to just give some information, some stats. Okay. That's funny. I'll let you be the definer. I'll just open up with something else.
Sounds good.
And by the way, in case you're wondering, audience and Tim, when you do search Divi, that website does not show up on page 1 anymore. In fact, I went back like 4 pages and it didn't show up. So,
wow, interesting.
Okay. And the funny thing is he's one of their biggest affiliates. That's the funny thing. The funny thing is the person who wrote that article was an affiliate, which is very smart on his, create some controversy, get some clicks over there. And I just happen to know personally that he was a pretty big affiliate for Elegant Themes.
Yeah,
so
definitely. David, hold that thought. I'm going to use the restroom, just drink a lot of water.
All right. Well, I get to entertain you guys. Let me go check out see if anybody's watching or wants to say hi. It seems like we've got a few people on Divi Life's Facebook page. Tell us hi. Let us know who you are, who's watching. I would love to see who that is. Seems like we've also got several people watching on YouTube between WP Gears and Divi Life. I've got the Divi Life Facebook and YouTube open currently. I don't have the WP Gear stuff open at the moment. So if you're watching there, tell us hi and let us know who you are and where you're watching us from, and whether or not you're a long time listener of the podcast or a new listener to the podcast. We'd love to know. So yeah, leave us a message and let us know. And I must have scared everybody away because now there's a bunch of people just took off. All right, Tim.
Yeah, it's doing some live recording behind the scenes, and yeah, so you might, if you are a listener of the podcast, you might feel different without our intro and exit music. That gets added after in post production.
Right. All right, we ready?
Yeah. Actually, wait, no. Give me 1 second.
Oh, wow. I'm going to fix something here, Tim. There we go.
All right. I am ready when you are, David.
All right. Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. Oh, it says to try that recording again. Something happened. Let me just open it back up. Hitting record in 3.
I stopped it. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason it crashed. So
okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today, in episode 633, we're going to talk about how to prevent WordPress comment spam. If you do not take care of this and put something in place, your email box, your inbox is going to get overwhelmed with notifications that you've got a new comment or a new form or somebody's contacted your website, and a lot of it is spam. There's bots out there on the internet that are constantly pinging, finding new WordPress websites, and they're just constantly spamming them for whatever reason, testing them to see if they can get hacked, or to get backlinks, hoping that you approve this comment spam. And believe me, some of it is not so nice. Before we dive off and let Tim, we're going to give you a few different ways that you can help protect against that. One of the main tools that we're going to talk about today is Akismet, and it's anti-spam plugin. Akismet, Akismet of it's Akismet, not Akismet, because there's no S in the second letter. It's a K. I want to give you some stats. It's currently active on over 5 million websites. That's huge. That's a lot of people using it. We use it. I'm not sure if Tim uses it. We haven't talked about that. But basically, the way that it works is that a visitor submits comments to your blog. Your blog runs each comment through Akismet, and then Akismet tells your blog whether it's ham or spam, and you get to choose whether or not you're going to, what you're going to do with it and stuff. So, Tim?
Yeah, and I do use Akismet, and we highly recommend that you put it on every site you build. It's free. There's no reason not to use it. And it basically is the type of thing that gets, the more websites that use it, the smarter it gets. Because basically, if a comment is spam and I mark it as spam and I have Akismet running, well, it's going to tell Akismet that, hey, this IP address is a spam IP address. And so then it basically makes their spam detection smarter, because it's saying, okay, well, if these IP addresses here are the spammers, then we're not going to let any comments come through at all to any of the sites using Akismet, because we already know it's spam. And so rather than you having to detect spam on an individual basis, it's doing it on a huge global scale with all of these websites. And so it's becoming a spam detection wizard, and can detect it so that you don't even have to look at it and mark it as spam. And so that's kind of quick run through of how it works and everything. And so, yeah, that right there for most websites will be the first and last line of defense in terms of comment spam. That's all you really need to do. Now we have a couple other points here, depending on your site and your blog. Like, for example, if you have a website that like you don't really have an active blog, or like you don't want comments to really be part of your blog, well, then you can just turn them off. And so if you go to within your WordPress admin panel, go to settings, discussion, you'll see all the different things for controlling comments. And one of them is to just completely disable comments altogether and not enable discussion at all. And so that can be a simple way to get spam off of your blog altogether, which can be good. And then there's other things that you can do as well. So for example, there's a setting under other comment settings that's titled automatically close comments on posts older than blank number of days, right? And so you can do 14 days, you can do 30 days, whatever. And so if there's an old post from 2 years ago and it might still be relevant, but you don't really want discussion on it, well, you can have this happen. And so then you don't have to worry about posts that are super old getting comments from spam bots or whatever. And so I happen to know that Elegant Themes uses this on their blog. They have such an active blog with years and years worth of content, and so they automatically close comments on posts older than a set amount of days. I can't remember. It might be 30 days or it might be longer than that. And so you can't go to a post that was written 2 years ago and comment on it unless they've individually allowed that post to open up comments again. And so, because you can control it on an individual post basis as well.
Man, that could lead to a couple of more future WP the podcast topics, Tim. Should you or should you not do that and stuff? So yeah, I think it's great.
I personally don't, because I get posts on or I get comments on posts from several years ago, and I welcome it and I keep those posts updated. And so I get real questions from real people, and it's rarely ever spam. And so I like having the discussion. But yeah, we could do a whole nother episode on that.
Yeah. Plus, the SEO value of comments is huge. So engagement on your website is a big deal for algorithms with search engines. So yeah, but when you become a top 100 website in the world, like elegantthemes.com is, maybe you don't worry about the engagement so much and stuff. So, all right, tomorrow we've got another great topic. Episode 634, contact form emails aren't sending, or they're going to spam. What in the heck can I do? We're going to cover that tomorrow. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
3, 2, 1. Boom.
All right. So just in case you just joined us live on Facebook or YouTube, David and I are doing some live recording of our podcast, WP the Podcast. And so you get a behind the scenes look at our recording session. And so you can kind of see how that looks. Mark just mentioned great show. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for watching live, and thanks for listening to the podcast. We have another few episodes to record still, so you get to listen to those as well.
Awesome. Let's see here, Tim. No wonder I had been asking people to kind of give us their, let us know where they are when we're in our breaks and stuff, and I I had everything shut down and stuff. So I am going to close it back down again because it's kind of distracting for me. All right. Let me know when you're ready, Tim.
Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm correct in this is a pretty common problem in WordPress, correct? This next topic. Yeah.
Very common.
I thought so. pretty much gonna have to do one of these things that we talk about, correct?
Yes. Yeah. And I can explain why this happens, and then you can talk about the first one or second one, whichever one you prefer.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to me. I'll let you do the first one, and then I'll talk about about SendGrid and Mailgun and stuff, because we use those.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Let me just kind of real quick. I mean, all it does is pretty much guarantee delivery. It's just a delivery service, right? For your emails.
Yes, it outsources email sending to their mail servers, SendGrid, for example, which are optimized for sending large amounts of emails, opposed to having your website send it. But yeah, I'll talk in the intro. I'll kind of talk about why that happens.
Okay. All right. All righty. Let me know when you're ready.
I am ready.
Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today, we've got a super exciting technical topic. Seems like we've had quite a few of those in a row. Episode 634, we're going to talk about why your contact form emails may not be sending, or why your emails are going to spam. So we're going to kind of cover some things, why it's happening, but we're also going to give you some tips and tricks to help solve the problem for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, let's kind of talk about, as David mentioned, what the issue is and why it happened. So basically, websites are configured to load web pages, right? Website servers are configured to load web pages, right? And so they're not really configured for sending emails. And so when WordPress sends emails, so the emails that WordPress can send can be anything from a password reset email when you forget your password, or one of your customers forgets a password, an email receipt if you're using e-commerce plugin such as WooCommerce or EDD, a form submission. So for example, you have your built-in contact form on your theme or page builder, or you're using something like Gravity Forms. Those are all emails that WordPress has to send, and it's using the web server to send that. However, the web server, as I mentioned, isn't really configured to be sending emails. It's configured to be serving web pages. Also, if you're on cheap shared hosting, chances are your IP address has already been blacklisted by different email services like Gmail and so forth. And so, that's kind of the basics for why it happens. And so, because it's not configured to be sending email, and because of like shared servers, shared IP addresses, the IP address can get blacklisted. And so it ends up going to spam or not getting delivered at all, even can sometimes happen. And so it's a very common problem, whether it's your contact form or an email receipt or this or that. And so basically what you want to do is you want to get the emails that are being sent by your website server by WordPress and outsource it to some sort of service that specializes in sending emails. And so we're going to talk about a couple of those options now. The first one on the list that I'm going to talk about, and then Dave's going to talk about the next one, is a free plugin. It's brought to you by WP Forms, one of Saeed Belki's companies. And the plugin is called WP Mail SMTP by WP Forms, and it's a free plugin. If you type in WP Mail into the WordPress repository, you're going to find it. But basically, it allows you to use an SMTP, which stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, for sending emails. And so, for example, you can use a Gmail account to send your WordPress emails instead of your website server. And so, we won't get into all the technicalities on how it works and so forth, but it can be a really cheap and easy way to send emails. And I would say that's a good solution for small sites. not e-commerce, you're not sending a lot. You maybe have a occasional contact form submission being sent, that sort of thing. That can be a really good solution. However, if you're an e-commerce site and you have a lot of traffic, a lot of users, customers, a lot of things happening, a lot of emails being sent, then we recommend the next thing that Dave's going to talk about.
Yeah, the next thing is a paid email delivery service, and we use them. There's a couple of options out there that are pretty popular and common. One of them is called SendGrid, and the other is Mailgun, and they essentially do the same thing. They're just a paid service where SendGrid or Mailgun, they are an email service provider, basically. Their servers are optimized to get your emails delivered from your website. And it's a paid service, and they're pretty inexpensive, So we have a couple of pretty highly trafficked e-commerce websites, and AspenGroveStudios.com, Divi.space. Tim has Divi.life, and there's a lot of transactional emails going out and stuff. And we pretty much have no problem whatsoever. And we use SendGrid. I'm not sure if Tim uses SendGrid or Mailgun. I think he uses SendGrid also. But we also use it on WP Gears for our course and our students and stuff. And it's easy and it works, So if you want to make sure that your emails are getting sent out, use one of these paid services. We're not going to go into the details of how exactly they work and stuff, but their servers are optimized to send emails, and they're constantly reviewing when something gets blacklisted, making sure that your those IP addresses and stuff aren't blacklisted and stay clean and stuff. And deliverability is probably very, very high, in the high 99%, if not 100%. I don't know what they guarantee, but I highly doubt they guarantee 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And just wanted to clarify, just in case there's any confusion here. Transactional emails is the emails that WordPress sends, and they call it transactional because something's happening, whether you're trying to get a password or you're buying a product. WordPress is sending an email in response to some sort of action. And so that's why it's called transactional. This is not to be confused with the email that you set up for your company. Like, for example, to be able to send emails out to, your customer, or your internal team and stuff. This is not like your john@yourdomain.com email. That's something different. That's not what we're talking about here. And we're also not talking about email marketing emails like MailChimp and so forth. That's, again, a little bit different. And so this is only transactional emails. And so, David, you asked what I use. I actually don't use SendGrid or Mailgun. I use the secret third option that we didn't list on here, and that is Mandrill. Mandrill is actually owned by MailChimp, and so you have to have a paid MailChimp account in order to use Mandrill, and then it's a paid add-on. And so I use it just because I'm used to MailChimp, and so I'm kind of in that world already. And so I use Mandrill. And so again, it's separate from the MailChimp email marketing. And it's just for sending transactional emails, but it works well. But yeah, if you don't use MailChimp, SendGrid and Mailgun are both great options. I've used both. I've used SendGrid probably a little bit more on client sites and stuff. And then, as David mentioned, we use SendGrid for WPGears.com.
Awesome. Well, tomorrow we've got another great topic: how to reduce WordPress database bloat. This is an important one, folks. So make sure you tune in. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
3, 2, 1. All right, bro. What was so funny?
Oh, just now?
Yeah.
Oh, because I almost forgot to say my sign off. Take care. Bye-bye. I was like, take care. Bye-bye. So that was why there's like a second of pause.
There. You left me hanging. I was sitting there. Tim, hello. All right. I am ready when you are.
All righty. Oh, and we had a comment here in the live chats by Mark again. And Mark, if you're still watching, Mark asked what we use for podcast hosting, and we use Blueberry.
Blubbery.
We use Blubbery. We use the Blueberry podcast player. And so because we use their podcast player, it's easy to use their hosting as well as their analytics and stuff. And so it all just kind of integrates. But yeah, we definitely recommend using a specialized podcast hosting and not trying to host it on your website, because it'll get very bloated very quickly.
Like we did originally. And
like we did originally.
Like this next topic is going to fall right in line with it.
Yeah, exactly. And really quick, if you're just now joining us live, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the numbers here. David and I are doing some live recordings. So you're getting behind the scenes look as we record episodes from WP, the podcast. So yeah, that's it.
Boom. I'm ready when you are, Tim.
I am ready.
Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
And that was Murphy that just went behind Tim. If you're listening to the podcasts, we're on video doing this live. So don't go to Apple Podcasts and expect to see Murphy. You're not going to see him there. So I promise I won't do that again, Tim.
Should we re-record that?
No. I think people will get a kick out of it. So how to reduce WordPress database bloat is our topic today. And we've got a few tips and tricks and ways that you can do that. And the first one is there is a plugin called Better Delete Revisions. So
hey,
obviously,
David,
when you go,
sorry, we need to start that one over.
Okay.
Because we didn't even say what WordPress database bloat is either.
You're killing me. Dang it, Murphy.
He distracted you.
All right.
I kicked him out.
He did. I saw him and I was like, I'm going to introduce Murphy. If you're watching live, you get to see it all. Good, bad, and the ugly.
All right. I'm ready when you are.
Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today in episode 635, we're going to talk about how you can reduce WordPress database bloat. And this is important because speed matters when it comes to not only your visitors, but search engines algorithms place a high importance on how fast your website loads. And if you get your database bloated over time, which it will, that's just how WordPress works, you need to know how to clean it up. We're going to give you some tips and tools. So Tim, before we dive in, why don't you tell us what WordPress database bloat is?
Yeah, definitely. So WordPress, basically, it stores content inside of a MySQL database. And so you basically have two parts to a WordPress website. You have the files, and then you have the content. And the files is stored in a normal file structure, and that's your WordPress software itself, as well as your plugins and your themes and your media uploads. But everything else is stored in the database. So content, settings, everything from like menus, all the things that you're doing within your theme or page builder, all of those settings and stuff are stored in the database as well. So like really, if you think about it, everything if you strip away the database, you basically have an empty website. And so everything that you're doing and changing and customizing and creating is stored in the database. So it's a huge portion of the site. And so the longer your website's been around, the more and more bloated the database can get. And so there's a couple things that will really bloat your database. One of them being WordPress revisions. And so I'm going to let David talk about how to do this, but basically WordPress revisions, when you make changes to a WordPress page or post or whatever, WordPress by default will store revisions. And so it's basically different versions of the page so that you can go back and undo changes that you've previously saved. And so it sounds like a great idea. The problem is if your website's been around for a while and you made a lot of changes and you're kind of designing and saving, well, all of a sudden, before the site even goes live, you have a huge bloated database of revisions, and you have like 50 different versions of a page or post. And so that's a problem. So yeah, over to you, David.
Dang, Tim just stole my thunder, man. That's the one that I could talk about it
Sorry.
at length. And the way that you handle that, the easiest way to handle that is to use a plugin called Better Delete Revisions. And it's a plugin that you can find in the WordPress repository. And it's awesome. And if you had to go in and manually delete these, or even go in the database and delete them manually from the database as opposed to on your WordPress website, it would take a lot of time and it would be really cumbersome. This thing allows you to do it automatically and stuff. You can, there's a lot of features and things that you can do to make that happen. Tim, what's number 2?
Yeah, number 2 is optimize database after deleting revisions. And so this plugin, it's a separate plugin, but it's meant to be used with the plugin David just talked about. And basically, after you delete the revisions, it will go in and it'll optimize your database. I'm not a MySQL expert, so I'm not going to try to tell you what exactly it does to optimize, but it's something good to do. And so we definitely recommend doing that.
The third thing that we recommend is to code snippet to limit the number of revisions. So I don't know if we have the code or not to give people, Tim, but it would be great if we could put this in our show notes. I'm pretty sure we could get it. If we don't have it, I could get Jonathan to give it to us. But you can put a piece of code in your website, which is going to control the number of revisions that WordPress is going to store in the database. Yeah, that's pretty much that simple. I can't say anything more to it than that.
Yeah, and I think there's some might be a plugin as well, but basically by limiting the number of revisions to maybe the last 5, you still have that fallback in case you need to revert back to a previous version without getting a huge database. So it's like and WP Engine, actually, they're hosting, when you have a website with WP Engine, revisions don't work at all. However, there's times where I really wish that it did work. And so having kind of something in between a ton of revisions and no revisions, is the ideal situation, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see if we can get, I found a blog post here we'll put in the show notes on how to limit revisions. And the next thing here is kind of separate but similar, and that is to actually go into phpMyAdmin and remove database tables of unused plugins. And so, for example, if you're kind of in a design development phase of a WordPress website, you're probably installing different plugins, and sometimes it might not do what you want. You deactivate and find a similar one, or or maybe you're using something for a while and then you deactivate and decide you don't want it anymore. Well, depending on the plugin, there's typically going to be some sort of content that's saved in the database, whether it's settings, whether it's actual like content itself, like custom post type content. There's going to be something that's saved in there. And if you go and later reactivate that plugin, you're going to, any changes that you made previously are going to be there as if you never deactivated it, which is a nice feature to have, so that if you change your mind and come back to it, everything is saved nicely where you left it. However, it's also going to bloat your database if that happens with a lot of different plugins, and plugins you're never going to come back to. You don't really need it to save its data. And so some plugins, very few, will give you a way to remove the data after deactivating it. And it's usually an additional setting you have to turn on to remove the data. But most plugins don't have that. And so the way you do that is from your server. There's a server tool for MySQL databases called phpMyAdmin, and it basically lets you see all of your database tables and rows and all of that. And so you can basically find the different plugins that are on there, and you can actually remove those tables or rows or whatever, or entire databases, depending on the plugin. And that can reduce database bloat. Now, I will say this is some advanced stuff here, and you absolutely want to make sure that you have a current backup before you do this, because if you remove the wrong thing, you can completely just break your site into oblivion. And so you want to make sure you have a backup. You want to be careful, but this can be a helpful way of kind of slimming down that database.
Fantastic. Well, there you go, folks. How to reduce WordPress database bloat and why it's important that you take care of it. Tomorrow, we've got another great episode, 5 ways to increase your website traffic this month. Tim, until tomorrow, we'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
3, 2, 1.
Sorry, David. So many technical topics in a row.
I know, man. You're killing me, bro.
This one will be more fun now.
People will begin to think that I'm just here to intro the thing. No, I can talk some of them. In case you're watching live and stuff, I am, I'm somewhat technical. I have a high level understanding, but I do not deep dive into technical topics just because I want you to have the best information possible. And I am not going to pretend to be a tech guru or anything. I'm more business marketing minded. That's what I do for our companies. And, so I weigh in a lot more on those types of topics and stuff. And Tim is very technical. He knows his shiznit, as they say in the younger people's world. So,
yeah, definitely.
Hey, this last topic, we haven't really written any bullet points. Do we want to fill some things in right now? Do we want to put this one into our next recording? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, I say we just knock it out now, so it's done. But okay. I was thinking we could do, it's like we talk about ways to like grow traffic and stuff, but talking about ways that'll make an impact in the next 30 days. Yeah. And so, I was thinking
freebies, giveaways.
Yeah. That works. Freebies.
I mean, if you want to go paid route, are we talking just totally free or?
No, I just put Facebook, Google for paid ads.
Okay. Yeah. Paid. You could, we could reach out to other, your peers to share, some kind of something that you've got going on your website to where you can, if you can get them to promote it and stuff, send it out in an email blast or whatnot,
like contest type of thing.
Yeah. Or like a sponsored paid ad, you've got paid ads there, but you can do a sponsorship on like several other high trafficked WordPress websites that are in your industry or niche that can get traffic over to you immediately and stuff. Trying to think of what we can do on another freebie. Obviously you've got the social platforms and stuff. I don't know if we want to, talk about taking advantage of the social platforms in any way, outside of paid, but like free stuff.
I put create something extraordinary, ideally free, that will draw attention.
Yeah. And then get people to share it. We can go like viral school, put a plan together with like Reddit and stuff, because if you can get, kind of what I did with a client of mine a few years ago where they had a very creative niche, but it was cool. And if you can get like to page 1 on Reddit, you're going to get an insane amount of traffic, but it really needs to be some type of, niche-y creative thing where people are going to upvote it, upvote. So utilizing those types of sites, Yeah, I think these are good. These are 5.
Yeah, I added one because freebies and then number 4, create something extraordinary is kind of similar. I feel like it's. So
yeah, anyways. It is the same. It's not kind of, it is. Yeah.
I'll put that.
Yeah, put it up there, number 1 with it. Yeah, first.
You can start first. That way you'll do the Reddit one because that one's not something I'm familiar with.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I am ready.
Hitting record in 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of WP the Podcast, brought to you by WP Gears. I'm David Blackman.
And I'm Tim Streifler.
Today, we're going to talk about 5 ways to increase your website traffic this month. Tim and I have talked a lot about how to increase website traffic overall and in general. And typically, it's an organic, long play that we recommend, and it takes anywhere from a year to 18 months, a year and a half to get really good, consistent organic traffic coming into your website. But we wanted to give you some tips and tricks that you could use to get traffic in the next 30 days. So here's 5 things that we think we can help you with. First and foremost, number 1 is freebies. Create something extraordinary, ideally free, that will draw attention to your website and bring traffic in. So an example of what we did several years ago with Aspen Grove Studios when we launched our business, obviously we're a big Divi company. Tim and I are Divi product creators. We created the Demo Zone, which was actually a multi-site that we built several amazing websites and layouts that was built with the Divi theme, and we wrote some custom plugins to allow multiple people on the same page at the same time. We locked down the database so they couldn't change things and screw up the designs and stuff, but they could go on the back end and see exactly how it was built, because we kept getting the same questions over and over and over again in the Facebook groups that Tim and I were administrating and, highly involved in, and, which were, hey, how are they doing this effect? Hey, how are they doing this? So we created the Demo Zone. It was 100% free, and it basically allowed people to come and learn Divi. And to this day, it is still a high converting lead magnet and draws a lot of traffic to our website. That's one example. Several people have, we also have a child theme creator that's free. Tim has some amazing guides on everything you need to know about child themes, from video walkthroughs to tutorials and stuff. So that's totally free. Create that type of content, put it out there, and then get your friends and network to share this stuff. And if it gets picked up somewhere, you're going to get a lot of traffic, and you can do that in 30 days. What's number 2?
Absolutely. The next one on the list is paid ads. Now, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And so paid ads can be a great way to get traffic to your website pretty much immediately. However, one thing worth noting is if you've never ran ads before, it can be challenging to kind of get your ads dialed in and figure out your audiences and stuff like that. And so, I would say if you're brand new to paid ads, like there's a minimum of like a 30-day learning curve. You'll pretty much get traffic right away. However, it might not be traffic that converts. And so I do want to kind of say that, major caveat is it can take time to actually have it be effective. But if you're willing to put some money out there, Facebook ads or Google ads or both can be a great way to get traffic to your website. And so, yeah, it's, you might be thinking, well, we only want free ways to get traffic. But sometimes you got to spend some money.
And number 3 is another paid way, potentially not paid, although I don't know many highly successful WordPress websites that are going to allow you to come and promote your website on their website without some type of, number 3, sponsored posts. Some of the higher traffic websites in the WordPress world sometimes allow you to sponsor posts on their site where you pay a fee, and they allow you to put your blog post, and then direct traffic over to your website. for whatever reason, to get your freebie or whatever it is. But again, that's another way that you can get some traffic immediately, but it's going to cost money.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next thing on the list here that can get you traffic in the next 30 days and even potentially on a consistent basis if you do it right is Facebook groups. Now, I'm not suggesting by any means to go into a bunch of Facebook groups that are in your niche and just start spamming your services or your products or whatever. But what you can do if it's permitted by the group admins is create something really great, some sort of tutorial, something of high value. It could be a freebie, it can just be a blog post, but something that is extraordinary. It's something better than what people are used to seeing out there. And link to it in the Facebook groups. Now, again, you don't want to do anything that's against the rules. And you also don't want to just go into a Facebook group and be brand new to it and all of a sudden just start posting your stuff, even if it is completely free tutorial training, whatever. You want to kind of get familiar with the group and how the group dynamics work, and also offer help and answer people's questions and stuff, and kind of give back to the group before you post something, even if you are posting something that is completely free. So that's something that can work really well, depending on the niche and so forth. But yeah, Facebook groups can be awesome, but you have to do it right. Cannot stress that enough.
And last on our list, but definitely not least, is to use some type of social platform like Reddit, where, if you're familiar with Reddit, Reddit is a forum type kind of platform that covers, I think it covers every topic on the planet. There's a subreddit group in there that covers it. So for example, Divi, let's just stick with Divi. There is a Divi Reddit group, and one thing that we did a couple of years ago for a client of mine that worked really, really well, we launched their new website, brand new. Nobody even in the world knew who this company was. It was called Fliptails. And I had a creator who created Flipbooks. He had taken the top 200 names in the IRS database and created Flipbooks for those 200 names, male and female, boys and girls. And, David turned into a peregrine falcon, for example, and it was just a thumb flip through book. Well, we launched the website about 30 days before Christmas, and he wanted to get a bunch of sales for his new product. And one of our strategies was to go out, and if we could get to page 1 on Reddit, we knew that it would go viral and we would get a ton of traffic to our website. So what we did was we created a very unique, creative video showing off the flip books. We posted it to Reddit. And the trick with Reddit is if you get enough upvotes, you're going to get to page 1. And if you get to page 1 on Reddit, you're going to have an insane amount of traffic. I think we got 1 million visitors in that first 24 hours or something. It was incredible to see how much traffic and how many sales he actually made. But it was just a plan that we put together. We knew that if we could get to, page 1 of Reddit, that it was going to go viral and stuff. And it's the same with some of these other, platforms like TikTok or Snapchat or any of those other ones. If you can do
YouTube.
something or YouTube, YouTube's a little bit different in that, it's kind of works like it's the second largest search engine in the world. So you've got to get indexed, and there's just so many factors. Whereas like a Reddit or something like that, there's like, people with these topics, you're going to get instantly. And if people start upvoting, it's going, so. But yeah, use some type of platform like that, and it could be huge. I hope that made sense, Tim. And just get creative and get some website traffic to your site.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we've got another great topic for you, Tim. Anything else? Want to close this out?
I think that is it for this topic. But yeah, If you're new to WP the podcast, we're happy that you are here. Hit subscribe, leave us a review, preferably 5 stars. Feel free to recommend some topic ideas of things you'd like to learn. This is episode 636, so obviously we've covered a lot of different things. And feel free to go in and search our website or whatnot for different things, because we might already have a topic on it.
Awesome. Well, Tim, until tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. All righty. If you're watching us live out in the Facebook or YouTube, thanks for joining us. Tim and I do this occasionally where we go ahead and go live and let you see behind the scenes. It's been awesome. This time we went live on WP Gears, which we'll always do it on WP Gears, but we're trying some different things. And we went live also on Tim's properties, Divi Life. And next time we do this, we're going to do it on Divi Space. So thanks for joining us. Tim, you want to say anything before we sign off?
Yeah, thank you for watching live and getting that behind the scenes look at our recording process. Hopefully you found it interesting. Hopefully you learned something too. And the episodes that you heard recorded today will be published on WP the podcast probably within the next week. Let me see. Actually, I'm going to tell you exactly when. We started with episode 632 today. That one will be published on Sunday, July 5th. And then consecutively after that too, all the way to July 9th. The one we just recorded will be on July 9th.
Amazing. All right. Well, I think that's it, Tim. I'm going to sign us off for the live stream now.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.